Yes, ladies and gentlemen, what's really good? How you doing? I hope everybody out there is having a wonderful night. As I welcome you back to the show, once again, it's your boy Emilio Egbar, and I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come here and rock out with me. I definitely do appreciate it, as we're about to get into some dopeness here tonight on the show. But before we go any further, man, make sure y'all do me a favor. Be sure to go follow me on Twitter at NonstopRadio212, or you can get at me on my personal Twitter page at the Emilio Egbar. I would love to hear from you. For those of you out there who are a little gun shy to get on the comments or to hit me up on social media, you can send me an email to Let's Network Musically 212@gmail.com. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're back at it once again. As previously mentioned, you know this is the point of our show where we like to bring on tonight's special guest. And I can't even call this young man a guest anymore. He's pretty much a regular now here on this platform, folks. He is the one that inspired the name change to the Emilio Egbar Show. And the last time we linked up, man, we had a very epic conversation for the ages that I know a lot of people out there that was listening to that conversation gave us some beautiful feedback on the conversation that we had, man. And we want to say thank you to each and every one of you who took the time to show that love, to go and, spread love and share that interview with anybody out there that you feel as though that needed that conversation to be heard by them. And we definitely do appreciate that, man. So with that being said, this young man is blessed. He's highly favored and highly anointed, man. And we bring it back to the show once again. My man, my brother, Tone Butta. What's good, Tone? How's everything, man?
What's happening, man? Everything goes, you hear me? Real business.
That's
Everything
all it is.
Goes, bro.
That's all it is, man. I definitely want to say thank you once again. You already know how it is when you come up here on this show, man. Everything stops. And everybody got to come and tune in, man, because we got to get some real stuff said here tonight on this platform, man. But how you been, my brother? How's everything going with you down there in D.C., man?
Man, look, to God be all the glory. I got to start like that. If I don't start like that, I ain't starting it right, man. You know what I mean? A lot of new doors opening, a lot of great things happening, a lot of amazing things going on, a lot of new endeavors, new projects in the works, new connections, new networking, everything, there's a new season. So God just making everything new for me. But, a lot of old things dying off, and still a lot of killing and trouble going on down here, a lot of crime that's happening down here. But, like I said, we take the good with the bad and try to make the sweet out of the bitter. You dig what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely, man. And let me tell you, man, it's definitely been crazy all throughout in our major cities, from DC to New York to Chicago to Philly, LA, Baltimore, you name it, man. It's not a city that you can't mention that is either on that list or off that list that hasn't been having their fair share of problems with all of the nonsense and the craziness that has been going on, man. Where do you think all of this animosity and all this hatred for one another is coming from, man? Like, I know we discussed this plenty of times, here on this platform, man, but it's like to take it a little bit deeper because, we come from an era where, it was pretty bad, our upbringing, DC, New York, all that good stuff and all around. And we seen like some pretty crazy things happening in our lifetimes and stuff like that. But it's like today is like, it just seems like it's a whole different level of like ruthlessness, man. Where you think that's coming from?
Man, to be honest, wrong influences. I think that the enhancement of wrong influences has been elevated in such a great way, especially through technology. I think that our young people especially are so exposed to wrong influences that they have become crash dummies because of their how do you say, they say that young people being very impressionable, very curious. So you're being curious to these wrong influences, and what I love to say is behind the wrong influences is demonic agenda. Like a lot of these things going on, you cannot sit here and tell me, just by my experiences in life, you cannot sit here and tell me, and with my faith in God and everything, that this atmosphere has not become so overly saturated with demonic activity. You know what I'm saying? Killing and all that has been going on since back then. That's one thing I can say. Like I tell people here in DC, even from New York to DC, you know what I'm saying, all over. Like I remember back then in DC, it was a lot of killing going on. It was a lot of young folks that still had guns. It was a lot of shootings, carjackings, criminal activity. I mean, even in my generation, I'm born in '89, so you know, growing up in the '90s, it was very, you know, I remember DC hit, I think, murder capital in 1989.
Oh yeah.
Where we had well over 400 and something murders, I believe. And right now we just hit 209 murders this month, I believe. So you know what I'm saying? It was going on, but I just believe that the demonic influence has become more magnified than it's ever been before. You know what I'm saying? It's just become more magnified. It's more exposure. Back then, even sexuality and everything to the youth, you know what I'm saying? A lot of it you can see is attacking the youth. It's become more exposed today. Where you got your child, and I tell any parent or anybody who has a child, like if they got a phone or any type of technology, you can't be with your child all the time, but you should do your best to be as disciplined to teach them as much discipline as you can, or to be on top of them as much as you can when they're around you. Checking their phones, checking their computers, their contacts, their messages, especially when they are children. When they are children, they need that. Children don't know their way. They have to be shown the way to go. So you allowing them to be on this technology and stuff, and you not checking it, they may be talking to pedophiles and stuff across, you know what I mean? So it's too much exposure today of the wrong influences, and it's really going to take us, like they say, as a village, as a community, as a people, to come together and really speak out, and not just speak out, but stand up on behalf of these things. And it starts first in your own community, in your own household. You know what I mean?
And you know, you hit the nail right on the head with that answer right there. And that's something, you know, that I've been speaking about openly. I've been talking about it to a lot of people that have come up here on this platform as of late. Gotta say shout out to my homegirl, just Signature from out in Chicago, because we just had a conversation about the demonic energy that is rampant right now in the music industry and hip hop in general, and all throughout, you know, social media and stuff like that, what we're seeing now. You know, you said you was born in '89, I was born in '84, so you know, I'm a little bit older than you, and a lot of people out there, you know, for those who are not familiar with DC and the DC legends that have come from out of there, people forget that DC is the home of Wayne Perry, is the home of Rayful Edmonds, and a whole lot of, you know, dudes that come from out of there. Big Head Gary,
Big Head Gary,
all those guys and stuff like that. And even then, it's like it didn't seem like it was as ruthless now as it is in this modern era. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do. I really do. I think that because of, put it like this, I think that the evil is still the same. I think that criminal activity, I don't think it's no different. It's just different people. So with different people comes different mindsets. Is it the same? Put it like this, and I'm gonna be as blunt with this as possible. I think that it's the same spirits still wreaking havoc, but it's different people with different mindsets that's willing to do different things, if that makes sense. But it's the same spirits that's still causing the same havoc, reaping the same evil. It's the same murderous spirits. It's the same unclean spirits that's working through people. But it's just a different time. It's different styles of doing things, different ways. Like you got different drugs that's maybe on the street now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of them off the fentanyl and all that stuff now. You know what I'm saying? It's a different way. And I think this is a different mindset. It's a different level of, I think it's a different level of evil when it comes to how warped the minds of our youth is today. You know what I mean? But I believe that it's the same spirit still working in them all as it was back then. You know what I'm saying? That's just my point of view about it, my perception of it.
Oh no, and I definitely respect that, you know, perception, because I was just thinking the same with that, you know, and it's very true what you said when it comes to the murderous spirit that is running rampant in today's society. And now that you got a different influence, as you mentioned also earlier, and then you also got different people with different mindsets that's out there doing the craziness. It's just, and then, you know, with the technology that is available now, and you've seen it all over social media, it's just like, you look at it, it's like, damn, I don't even remember it being this crazy when I was growing up. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
You know
I just had a talk like that with my peoples the other day, because one thing I can say when I look at the youth now, I was one of them wild little dudes that was running around robbing. I was about all the criminal activity. If I felt like, when you young and you trying to prove yourself and you got the wrong influences based on who you looking up to in your environment and stuff like that, you willing to do a little bit of whatever to make your name popular in that section, you know what I'm saying? Or some look for, mainly the respect. So they willing to kill, they willing to shoot. But I really come from the hustler era. I grew up under a lot of old head dudes, so I come from a hustler era. When in DC, it was really about making money. If you had to put the pistol on somebody, you just did what you had to do, because you got jack boys and all that stuff that's gonna be coming at you. But I come from the hustler era. When I look at a lot of these young dudes today, I see myself. I see where I was lost. I see where I was lost, but I also see that it's a different time. It's a different time. They have different tools of, and different ways of doing things. But like I said before, it's the same spirit. And that's why I feel a familiarity with a lot of the young dudes, to where I try not to pass judgment. I try to be a light rather than just to curse the darkness. You feel what I'm saying? I heard that from a pastor named Samuel Rodriguez. Instead of me being condemning, let me see where I can become a bridge for them or become a light for them, because shoot, I was in your shoes. I might not dress how you do when you doing your, I might not got on skinny jeans and all that, but no, you know what I'm saying? But right. I know exactly what it feels like to be lost. And it's a difference, because we had more older people that I felt like each generation, passing down each generation, has left some of their bad and some of their good. But I feel like as generations continue to go forward, I felt like it was more bad being left down than the good. From the crack era to this era, I felt like it was being more bad. And then as some of the old school start dying out, I feel like the young schools start being raised by even younger people, to where you got grandmothers that's younger now. You got fathers that's younger now. You know what I'm saying? Even in the drug epidemic, where people that was smoking boat or being on heroin and stuff like that, a lot of these young dudes was losing their fathers. They was losing the guidance that they needed for the next generation. And as they became younger, they wasn't, as the generation becomes younger, the wisdom, the decrease of wisdom has left. The decrease of discipline is left, where you got more parents now that are friends with the children. You got more parents now that are out here doing the same thing as the kids. So who raising them? The father out here on Instagram with guns and pistols and in and out of jail. So what you think the son gonna do? The mother out here on OnlyFans, she twerking, she doing this, that, and the third. So what you think the daughter is looking up to? And then, like we talk about the musical influence. The musical, people can say what they want, but I believe that music is more spiritually influential than it is not. I believe that music is more spiritually influential to our generation and to our society. And every society, if you look at from the 70s to the 60s, and you looked at the atmosphere of the society during that time, and you listen to the music will be a reflection of that society. Or you could say the society will be a reflection of the music at that time. So when we talk about the 60s, the 50s, the 70s, when they was on funk and on love songs and all that, and then look at the trajectory of society. Even if they talked about drugs in the music and everything, look at the reflection of society. Then when the 90s hit and when gangster rock came into play, then look at the reflection of society. Look what it mimicked. Music is very influential and very spiritually influential, especially to young people. Young people are raised by artists these days more than they raised by their parents. They gonna listen, they gonna watch and mimic what young boy do before they look at their father. And a lot of them don't have fathers. And a lot of them, some of them don't have their moms. So they are being raised by people who they don't know, but that are wrong influences. You know what I'm saying? Not speaking on those particular person, but a lot of these people they looking up to, artists, they are wrong influences. And some of these artists will tell you, I'm not your role model. But yet you are. Because you have a voice. and you have a heavy influence over the minds of people. So you are a role model. But it just depends on if you're a negative one or you're a positive one.
That is true.
And this is what we see today in our society, and it's getting worse and worse. But one thing I'd like to say, I like to magnify that there are good influences out here, but we have, as a people, have to be more on top of our youth. And it's not even just the youth, it's some of the older, the adults who are still wrongly influenced. It's some of the adults that are still out here living too impressionable, trying to be like, trying to be like the young ones, instead of growing up and using the wisdom that they should have learned from their experiences of what they've already been through, and not still holding on to the past with the same behaviors and the same old mindsets. You see what I'm saying?
That's like that Nas song, Second Childhood, when he mentioned the bar. He's like, he's 30 and can't give his youth up. He's on the block with young dudes. It's them he want to be like. You know what I'm saying? Like, you do got a lot of guys out here. Yeah, you still got a lot of guys out here and women that want to live that second childhood, or currently living that second childhood. They've grown in age, but they haven't grown in maturity. You know what I'm saying? So you got a lot of, young people out there trying to look for guidance and, influence from people that don't know too much better than them themselves. You know what I'm saying? And, during that, during your whole response, you raised some very interesting points. And it made me had to check myself just a minute ago, because, sometimes I can be honest. I can find myself being a little judgmental from time to time when I come to look at the youth nowadays. And then you got to remember also, and this is conversations that I have a lot with my brother as well, and we go through this conversation constantly, and we talk about, we used to do some knucklehead stuff too when we was growing up. We wasn't perfect, we wasn't angels when we was growing up, so we get, always look to want to, point the finger and chastise these young people and just, what you doing is bad, this, that, and the third. Yes, it's bad, but can't come down on them to the point where they lose respect for, people that come before them. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Exactly. Because how can you win them over? How can you be an example to them when a person that is offended is hard to win over?
That's true.
Because I'm not finna listen to you if I feel like you constantly putting me down or you constantly being judgmental about. I'm not finna receive nothing, even if you coming to me with the truth. If I feel like you condemning me or making yourself seem like you better than me because you don't do it the way I do it, or you didn't mess up like how I messed up, I'm gonna be less willing to hear what you gotta say, even if you speaking the truth.
That is true.
So the thing is, we gotta learn how do I embrace you versus how do I disgrace you? How do I embrace you versus how do I disgrace you? You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, what most people need to do, you got to examine yourself and look in the mirror. Okay, you older now, you might be doing good, but what did you had to come through? What did you had to go through? It may not look like what they go through, and that's even with like me being a Christian man. You know what I mean? As a man that believes in God, as a man that follows the ways of Jesus Christ. I can't look at somebody now because God has done a great miraculous turnaround in my life, and then look at somebody, or I might look at a heroin addict and say, well, because I didn't take heroin and I condemn them for what they doing. No, because guess what? I had my demons. I did what I did, even though we didn't do the same thing. There still should be some grace, not disgrace.
That is true.
Because maybe I can help you out. Maybe you be more lenient to listen to me or accept my help if you don't feel disgraceful or feel like I'm treating you disgracefully. You know what I mean? And that's even with the youth today. Like I say, I commend some of the old artists today, like Nas. I love what Nas did. With who was they did the song with? Was it Young Boy? Who was that Nas did that song with?
Man, honestly,
it was one of the newer artists.
Man, honestly,
it was one of the newer artists.
I can't even tell you, man, because you know what? Like, my nose has been more so pointed in the direction of up and coming artists to the point where, like, I haven't really recognized a lot of the newer stuff from a lot of the older artists, and that's to my own fault. You know what I'm saying? Like, I will go and admit that, but I mean, to a degree, if you run a music platform, people do look at you from a standpoint that you should be, you know, at least knowledgeable of certain things, especially if you call yourself, you know, a tastemaker or a gatekeeper. You should be, you know, knowledgeable of certain things, even if you may not play it on your platform. You should at least have some kind of general knowledge of it, so at least if the topic is brought up during the conversation, you can speak on it intelligently. You know what I'm saying? Like I get to that point sometimes where, you know, I get so caught up in trying to build up the people that I feel as though deserve a platform, you know, like sometimes I forget about those that come before us, and I can openly admit that, you know.
Right, and that's all good though, because I feel like this, it always gives us room to learn. I feel like learning is the main thing. Like, we're not going to always know what's going on, especially because we're going to be focused on our vision or what we working on a lot of times, so you're not going to always know what's going on. But I feel like even with that, when it comes to even the younger generation, it gives us a platform to bond with them by learning.
True.
Like, all right, teach me, I don't know, because I'm here. I still listen to Scarface. I still listen to BG and Max B. So I don't know what's going on in y'all side, but now, boom, that opens a door for us to be able to bond. All right, you teach me what y'all got going on. It don't mean I have to agree with it or tolerate it or like it, but I can become knowledgeable about it, which would give us a platform to bond with one another. You know who it was? It was Nas and 21 Savage.
Okay, yeah. I remember that. Yeah, because you know what, they had
a back and forth.
Yeah, because it was some controversy before that. People thought that, you know, 21 Savage was saying something to be disrespectful towards Nas, and they didn't realize that it was all promo for the project they was dropping together. I remember that one now. Yeah. Right.
He made a general statement, which I don't look at it as a diss. In a way, it could be taken as one, if you know, because if I'm an artist and I hear you say I'm not relevant, of course I'm gonna take offense to that. Like,
right.
I'm not relevant. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I like how Nas played. I like how both of them played it. It worked out. They end up doing a song together, which Nas could have took it and started shooting shots back, like, man, what, shorty, da-da-da-da, you know who I am? And it could have been a whole big thing where it's old versus young now. Yeah. Instead, they put that to the side, had a conversation like men, and collaborated.
But
collaboration.
One thing I've come to learn and understand, and I gotta say shout out to my man Divine Thought, because he's one of the ones that put me onto this whole thing with the way the music industry works in terms of like doing publicity stunts to get it out there. Right. Now I'm pretty sure like this record, you know, the footage that we seen on YouTube of these guys actually collabing, you know, social media and stuff like that, I'm pretty sure all that stuff was done months in advance. And then they just come out with a little bit of controversy, because, you know, controversy sells, especially this day in society. People want to hear who's dissing and who got something bad to say about whatever. So I'm pretty sure that was a calculated thing. Do you think so?
To me, my honest opinion, nah, I don't.
You don't think so?
I think that it worked out. I'm gonna say why, because I remember on the radio show or the platform when 21 Savage had said what he said, the song didn't come out until a little while after that, because they end up, you know, because it was a big thing that, you heard what because you know how the internet gonna spin certain things. You heard 21 Savage said Nas, he irrelevant out here to this rap game, he must don't know. So you got all the old heads chiming in now, saying, what's this youngin' talking about? Nas? Man, this young rapper, these young rappers don't know what they talking about. They disrespecting the rap gods and all this, that, and the third. And then you got the young ones that's agreeing with 21 Savage. Like, man, we don't even know who Nas is. We don't listen to that. That ain't what we listen to. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it provoked Nas. I'm pretty sure Nas probably wouldn't even have chimed in on it because of the caliber of artist he is. Right. You know, I ain't sweating what he said. I know who I am to this rap game. I'm real hip hop. Right. But because I think the noise that surrounded it, I think that Nas took the wisdom route as older artists should do. Like, you got a lot of older artists that's retiring, but I see all these, man, I see the Temptations still performing. Right. I see the Delphonics and Confunction still performing. Why in hip hop we got all our old artists that really got the wisdom, that really got the messages, constantly retiring? You gotta take care of your family, but music is forever, man.
I mean, but
music is forever, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you know, but there's a bit of a flip side also to that coin when it comes to like the older artists and the younger artists. And this is something that has been a bit of a topic here the last few months, you know, with a lot of these, you know, younger rappers, these newer rappers, they're not selling out shows. You know, some of them had to cancel certain tour dates. Some of them had to cancel shows because of the fact that they're not selling out venues. Where you have a guy like 50 Cent, a guy like Busta Rhymes, you know, these guys, they still selling out venues, not only here in the United States domestically, but also overseas as well, and having like thousands of people coming to their shows compared to a lot of these younger rappers nowadays. So, you know, that's the flip side to that coin. But also, you know, like you said, you know, you got a lot of these younger guys out here nowadays, you know, they use the controversial method because nowadays it's like, you know, it's not about marketing in a sense where you trying to showcase your skill. A lot of people are marketing themselves by saying the most absurd and outrageous things. Like, take for example, you know, the new rapper, Sexy Red or whatever her name is. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's saying a bunch of craziness. Then you got artists like Glorilla who's saying a lot of crazy things, and you know, you got the Little Pump guy that, you know, a few years ago he said Tupac said something about Tupac that got everybody in the uproar. You know what I'm saying? So like, you know, a lot of them, they use this controversy to fuel themselves with marketing and promotion, and it's to a degree, you know, it's a pretty good strategy. But when it boils down to it, it's like you're giving up your integrity, I should say, in order to, you know, get people paying attention to what you're doing. What you think?
Right. I mean, I think that's the way that society has become today. That's the season that we in today. When you come with the younger art, that's the thing to do today. Mm-hmm. That's just like maybe back in the day where it was rocking Pumas and this, that, and the third, but today we rocking this and that. Mm-hmm. It's just the thing of today. But I believe, like, when it comes to like Sexy Red and Glorilla, mm-hmm. Like I said, I don't like to knock nobody. Do I agree with the messages or things that be said in their music? Nah. Mm-hmm. But that's just me. That's me personally. I don't agree with it. I wouldn't let my daughter listen to it. I believe that that's for her audience, whoever the hood or whoever want to listen to it. But I don't agree with the messages. But they giving people money. The thing is this, I look at the flip side of that too. She come from a certain situation. I think that artist development need to be more implemented into today's music entertainment with a lot of the young artists, because your voice is so influential that you can change the trajectory of the younger generation of how they dress, how they act, what happens at school. Like, you got a lot of these young dudes, they want to be like the Chirac guys, the drill rappers, mm-hmm. and they going to school. They never carried pistols before, but now they want to carry a pistol because they favorite rapper carrying a pistol and got murder charges. Mm-hmm. Now you got little young girls that been in Catholic school, but they see these certain, you know, Instagram models or they certain favorite rapper shaking her butt or talking about sex and all this, and now they are being hypersexual at young ages. Mm-hmm. I just believe there should be more. I believe there should be more discipline with what we saying. Like your man Tupac said it. He said, "Don't just bob your head to the music and be entertained. Listen to what come out of people's mouth. We have a responsibility. We got, even though he might have had his controversy with him, you know, popping off at his mouth and stuff like that and being outspoken and belligerent or whatever, but he still understood that we do have a role as artists, especially mainstream artists, concerning society on what we say and the music that we putting out of here." That's why I believe that Nas took a situation to where they made it like how hip hop is back in the day. Him and 21 Savage agreed to do a song to see it became a friendly rap battle, mm-hmm. to where they could see, okay, you said I'm irrelevant. Let's do a song together and see who smoke each other on what verse.
Right.
And then that, you know what I'm saying? And then that joint came out, and I believe that allowed younger artists, because Nas did his thing on that joint. Mm-hmm. I ain't even gonna lie, Nas did his thing on it, especially with an artist like 21 Savage. You would look at that like milk and orange juice, like how that's gonna go, Nas and 21 Savage, but it worked. And I believe that an audience that never even heard of Nas or never paid attention to Nas got to hear him and become more acquainted. So even as he's dropping this new album, I believe that a younger audience is even looking more at him now just because of that collaboration.
True.
And I feel like I said, rather than him like shutting 21 Savage down or them starting some beef with like the old versus the young, I believe that we should have more old artists trying to embrace the younger ones. Like, the thing is, you can teach them, but teach them on your terms.
Right.
You ain't got, even if you jump on, they talking crazy and you feel like, shorty, you don't know what you talking about, you going crazy. Well, hop on the track and show him how it's done then. Because maybe if he see you hop on the track with him and show him how it's done and you talk some real, throw a real message out here, maybe he may look and say, you know what, OG, I like how you did that. I like the message you coming with. Maybe you may enlighten something in his mind or spark something in his head. Like, I got an artist on my label, shout out to Status, that's my little bro. He's more of the today style of rap, down here in the DMV. Mm-hmm. I'm more of the 90s, you know what I mean? So when I play 90s beat for him, he be looking at me like, bruh, come on, man. Like, nobody want to hear that, bruh.
Right.
Hip-hop, bruh. So when he play his beats, I feel like I'm like water. I feel like I'm very adaptable. I feel like God uses me in a very adjustable way. I feel like I can fit in anywhere and still bring what I'm called to bring. So we got a beat called Ministry where it's like a trap beat. Real hard trap joint, man. I hopped on there and did my thing to where he called me and say, Slim, you smoke that joint. How you do it like that? You smoke that joint. So how you do it like that? I felt like that allows me and him to build a bridge for where I can say, listen, his respect level for my artistry isn't based on me just like, man, I don't mess with all that stuff y'all talking about. Or I don't like that style of how y'all doing it. No, I'm going to show you, if I'm a true artist, then I'm going to show you that I don't care what lane you in, I can still reach you.
Right.
I don't care what lane you in, shorty, I can still reach you. No matter what you talking about, I can still reach you. I ain't got to talk about what you talking about to be able to embrace you. Just like when I'm saved now. I'm not out here standing on the block or posted up with stones or doing none of that, but I can still go out there and post up for a minute and still embrace my people. Mm-hmm. I can still talk to them. I can still speak to them. I can still reach them, and they still respect me without feeling like I'm condemning or I'm being judgmental. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I can still go out here with the homeless people. I do it all the time. I can go on the homeless people, go in the curry out, buy him and me something to eat and sit on the curb right there with them and be eating right there with them while people walking past like, hey, you sitting out here with the homeless people? Yeah, because I can still reach them. I feel like once we learn to become more adaptable than judgmental, man, we can change the trajectory of the wrong directions that a lot of our youth and just our people in society going in. We got to learn to start embracing and stop keep coming with a bunch of division. When I look at YouTube now and all the jokes on there, everything is about everything about somebody said something. That's why I love your platform. Every radio show or podcast is about gossip. First thing they do when you come on, so what about this person? You heard about, man?
Yeah, look, man, see, I don't like doing that.
You see what I'm saying? It's a bunch of gossip. It's stuff that cause division. I understand they get views, but just cause if that's what we chasing, well, that's the direction that we gonna go in. If that's what we chasing.
And my reasoning for that is it goes back to what you said about responsibility. We, also being that I have a background as an artist myself, I feel as though you're right when it comes to we have a responsibility with the things that we say to people, because people's going to listen to it. It doesn't matter how many people listen to it. Somebody's going to listen to it, and somebody may get influenced by that. I feel the same way as a platform. I feel like I have a responsibility because when it boils down to it, I don't want somebody to come on here and I ask them about something that has something to do with the streets, and it may be an active situation, and then something happens down the line. I feel like I instigated that situation, so I'm just as responsible for the outcome of that conversation than what that person is by going onto that platform and saying something, because I feel like I
can't hear you, E.
You can't hear me?
Hold on.
All right.
Yeah, I hear you now.
You can hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Okay, cool. All right. No, but what I was saying is, it goes back to the whole thing with the responsibility. Like, I want it to feel right. Somebody comes onto this platform and I ask them about an active situation they have going on in the streets, and then next thing you know, that gets escalated to another level, and then somebody ends up hurt or worse behind that. You know what I'm saying? So like, I feel as though I have that responsibility as a platform when it comes to it. I understand, you know, the streets is a part of the hip hop culture. It's it's a hand in glove fit. But when it boils down to it, I'm not interested about who your ops is. I'm not interested about what beef you got going on, how many people you done shot, or who got shot in your camp, or whatever the case may be. I'm not interested in that kind of stuff. I want to know your origin, your story, and I want to know what it is that you aspire to be with your time in the hip hop industry, because all of our time is limited. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you're looking at now today's climate, with the news coming out now that they're saying that they're no longer prioritizing signing rappers. What are you going to do now when there's no more avenues for you to go and eat off of the business of hip hop? What are you going to do now with that energy going forward? Like, how are you going to drive those kind of numbers, being that you don't got that machine behind you? You know what I'm saying? I don't want to put people in a situation where they feel like they got to go out here and they got to do something to prove, you know, who they are, so that way you can get views and numbers and stuff like that. I'm not going to, you know, compromise the integrity of the platform for that, you know?
Right. I love the fact that you said that, compromising the integrity of your platform. Integrity is what we missing a lot of today in today's society. Morals and principles, the right morals and is missing. And I feel like if us as the hip hop culture, as the rap culture, are connected to the streets, then I believe that we should be the best voice, the best example to help the streets, to help heal the streets, versus to keep it going. Because the thing is, I remember when it was all about trying to start your rap career or even play ball or something so you can help get out of it. Right. Not not stay there. You know what I'm saying? A lot of artists mess up their careers because they get the way out, but they still keep their foot in because you still want to have that credibility. It's like you can still be a real man and get credibility from real people. That is regardless true. Of who you are. If your change makes other people don't respect you because you change for the good, them ain't your people no more. That is true. You need to keep it moving. If they feel like, oh, if you ain't staying here with us, you can still embrace them without still going back to or being a wrong influence to where you came from. The thing is, if I'm out the streets, I'm not hanging in the streets, I'm not banging, I'm not doing none of that, but at the same time I'm still connected to it. So I want those who know me, when they hear my voice, to be like, you know what, I could do it too, but I could do it in the right way. I could do it in the right way. Ain't no way in the world I make it out and I'm start doing good and making money, and even with this rap thing, and I'm still getting caught with pistol charges. Yeah, this, that, and the third, and I'm getting caught with all this drugs. Like, I'm still back. What did I get out the street for to still do the same thing like I was back then? Right. To still be in it, it doesn't make sense. So, you know, I'm just saying, like, we just gotta be better examples, man. We can't just be better. We can't just be role models for who we want to be role models for, man. We got to be the role model that God created us to be, man, by doing things the right way. Absolutely. Helping these young kids, because you can't keep complaining about society and what these young kids doing if you not helping, if you not being no example. And I know a lot of artists feel like, well, I ain't want to be no role model, but you are. You are. That's the job you took. You take what come with it. That's just like if you jump in the streets. You might don't want to get robbed or want to get shot at, but that's what you signed up for. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So if you want to sign up for that, really, you know, play that role. Or like what Tupac say, I don't want to be a role model, I want to be a real model. Be real, but be real in the right way.
That
you know what I'm saying? These kids need it. The new generation need it. The generations to come need it. If you having babies, they gonna be the ones that have to deal with a lot of this stuff. If we sitting back, like what Martin Luther King said, I can't think of that quote he said, but he said it's the silence of our. What did he say? God dang, I can't even think of that quote. But basically, if we be silent about things that matter, that's even that's big as a major problem as anything. If we silent about things that matter, that we really need to speak up and stand up for, and we remain back and be like, well, that ain't my kids, or that ain't my issue, it ain't bothering me. Don't wait till it hit your house. Don't wait till gun violence kill your son or shoot your daughter for you to feel like, all right, we all need to get together and stop this and stop gun violence. Nah. It's in your community. It's in your front yard. It's in your backyard. We need to be more hands-on. We need to be more embracing than we are judgmental. You know what I'm saying? And it's going to be a challenge. It's not going to be easy, but you got to start somewhere. And even as artists in this music industry, we need more older artists to stop complaining about the younger artists and start embracing. Or stop, if you feel like, man, we don't want to listen to this BS music, well, start putting out some good stuff then.
True.
If all you got is them putting out a certain style of music and you ain't got nothing else to listen to, what you think everybody gonna listen to?
That is true.
These younger artists don't know who the older artists are. They ain't really making a lot of music. I commend some of the older artists that are getting back to performing and doing shows and dropping music. Yeah, put something out there then. You know what I'm saying? How do you fight the bad when you only can implement good?
That is
true. How do you fight against the only implement good? If you feel like, man, this wrong, what y'all doing is wrong, well, show them the right way to do it. Don't keep complaining about me doing it the wrong way if you ain't showing me the right way. Drop something, put something out that I can listen to. Give me, spark something in me. Do a song with me. Show me how to do it. Embrace me. Show me some love. Instead of just sitting back complaining, oh, these young dudes down there, man, they stupid. They out here wilding. They crazy. They need guidance. They need somebody to teach them. The youngins won't listen. Try.
That is true.
Try.
Now, let me ask you a question.
At least you can say you tried. Try. Don't give up on them.
Right.
Try.
Now, let me ask you something.
Even when it comes from back in our slavery days, it was a challenge for our people to stand and protest and fight for our rights. But because they tried, look how black people are living today. And we could say, oh, we not what we want to be. We need reparations. We daggone sure ain't where we used to be. I can tell you that. When you walking down the street, you ain't got to walk in the dirt with no white man walking down the sidewalk and keep your head down. Like in DC, the only reason we had to go through alleys, and I was taught this, is because black people couldn't even come out the front door back then. You come out your front door every day down here in the DMV. We hold court. We got black mayors, we had black presidents. That's because people tried. People tried. They didn't give up. So it got to be a consistent fight. It ain't going to be easy, but if we fight, if we come together and fight, you're going to see a change. I promise that. You're going to see a change.
Absolutely. Can you hear me?
Real good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, bro.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure. I thought I dropped out there for a second. Now, I got a question I want to ask you. You know, with that being said, you know, because you made some very valid points. Now, as we know, and it's been proven, you know, especially with the music industry, we all know that the industry is driven mostly by the listeners and the type of music that they want.
Right.
You know, so as the listeners and as the audience goes, so does the music business. So, you know, as we seen at one point in time, hip hop was going in one direction. And now we seen a change where, you know, everybody wanted to be with the dancing and having fun with the music. So hip hop went in that direction as far as like the way they, you know, promoted the music. And then you seen the trap music come along. Now you're seeing the drill music. Now I have a question to ask you with that. Do you feel as though that eventually, when it comes down to it, you know, being that, you know, the market or the mainstream market music business is dominated solely by what the audience want to hear, do you think that it could be possible for, you know, some artists to come along and change that dynamic, to get the listeners to want to listen to, you know, the better sounding music, where it's not about bang bang and shooting one another and gang banging and all this craziness? Do you think that it can change or be influenced to the listeners that have them shift away from that? Do you think that can be possible?
To be honest, I totally do, and I believe that it's happening slowly and gradually right now. Even in the Christian rap scene, I'm seeing it become more lit. I'm seeing people gravitate more to that. I'm seeing some of the trap artists gravitating more to start rapping now and doing more hip hop and doing more mainstream songs. I'm hearing more artists talk about, even I heard NBA Youngboy. Did you see that interview with NBA Youngboy where he was like, he didn't like the influence that he was being with his music? Did you see that?
Nah, like what platform was that on?
I
have to check that out.
It was on an interview. Yeah, I'm gonna send you the link. I'm gonna go on YouTube and look for it. But he was sitting back talking about how he just felt like he don't like how it feels in his spirit that he has influenced people in such a wrong way with his music. He wants to be a better influence. Now I know he fighting his demons, or he fighting with, you know, his challenges and whatever he's going through eternally or within his life, but for him to say that, just for him to say that, to take acknowledgement and say, for him to be one of the biggest artists in the world right now, in our rap culture, in the gangster rap culture, and say, I really don't like how it's sitting on my heart of me being such a wrong influence to people. Mm-hmm. I've been such a wrong influence, and I want to change that. And this is the thing I go back to say. A lot of these young dudes, they want to change. But a lot of them don't have the right positive people around that's encouraging them in that direction. Because when they got this money and they got all of this, that, and the third, you got so many people around that's just leeches that just want to benefit or want to keep making money off of them. So they encourage them to keep doing what they're doing.
And also the
versus
audience.
To say, nah, youngin', look, let me show you the right way to do it. Let me put you up on game. Mm-hmm. So for Shawty to say, man, this ain't sitting right with my spirit. I really want to change. I'm saying something. I can't really name all of them, but I be watching. I just be sitting back watching because I like to do my homework. I like to do my little research on what's going on in the culture. It don't mean I'm gonna get in my car and play their music, but I do like to do. I like to watch interviews more than anything because I believe that you really get a better representation of what's in a person's heart when you hear what's coming out their mouth when they just dialoguing. Because in their music, I mean, a person can say anything at any given time, but a lot of times the music is just for the money. Mm-hmm. Some of them might talk some stuff about, what's on their heart. But when you sit down and listen to them in them interviews and you really watch them, just based from a psychology perspective, you get to really see like where your head at. Mm-hmm. How you responding to things, your dialogue, what's really on your mind. And I'm hearing a lot of these artists like, they are trying to go in a different direction. Like down here in DC, they're talking about banning a lot of the music or putting a stop to a lot of the gun violence, saturated and criminal music, all the stuff we're talking about, crimes and gun violence in the music down here in the DMV. The mayor just was talking about putting a stop to that because of all the gun violence, the youths that are dying rapidly here in DC. Now, like a lot of people aren't familiar with DC unless you're really from here. Right. Because when you hear about Washington DC, you think about the president, you think about the White House. That's the tourist side. Right. Like every city, every place got their tourist side, and then you got the side where the people live at, the people who raised there, the culture. The culture here, the side, I don't want to just say the black side, but DC has been known in former years to be predominantly black. Right. It's known as Chocolate City. You know what I'm saying? And dangerous city as well. Oh yeah. So what I'm saying? You got a side where you go, and you got a side where you bet not come. Oh nah, like. You know what I'm saying? What'd you say, bro?
No, I was about to say, oh nah, real talk, because I remember it was a summer job that I had, and we was working in DC. We was right there by RFK Stadium. I'm not quite familiar what neighborhood that is.
I grew up across the street from
RFK Stadium. Yeah. So you familiar with it? Was used to be a KFC, like the DC open air farmers market is where I worked at for one summer. Yeah, so I used to work over there and everything like that. And they used to tell me all the time, like, listen, this is Washington, D.C. This is not over there by the Smithsonian. This is not over there by the monuments and none of that stuff. This is the real D.C. So when you go down to the store, you better be on your P's and Q's, and you better be careful because we can't guarantee your safety when you walk down that block. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I know D.C. is real when it boils down to it.
It's two different sides. We like to say you got Washington and you got DC. Mm-hmm. You got Washington and you got DC. DC, that's where you better know somebody. You better come on. You better not be just walking through. And despite the fact we got a lot of gentrification that's been going on in the past several years, and even longer. It's a lot of gentrification here now because, of course, this where the president lived. This where a lot of government jobs at. This where the Pentagon at. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of gentrification that's been going on down here of them, a money thing, I like to say. I like to say it's a money thing. You know, if you got money, then a lot of people, and of course we like to say, I was reluctant to say it, but a lot of white people are moving in the inner city because of their money situation. Because I believe it's based more on the have and the have-nots. True. If you broke and you living under that poverty line or middle class, they pushing you out further because they want to be where all the government jobs and everything is at. You know what I'm saying? And it's making it harder for our people to stay because of all the crime stricken areas, the killing, especially the killing here.
Yeah.
And you come here, man, you going, man, killers be as young as 11, 10 years old, 12 years old. Yeah, so it's really dangerous then when you got a youngin' whose mind's not fully developed and he ready to wear you out at the drop of a dime with a pistol that's bigger than him. So you know that's real dangerous. That's like when I used to hear about stories when people like they go to Africa or Jamaica and you see a 12-year-old running down the street with a chopper. Yeah, that's more dangerous because this dude's mind not fully developed. He just on go. You know, he just on go. So, you know, it's a lot going on down here, but because of the music, they trying to put a stop to it now with DMV artists. And I'm not in disagreement with the, you know, them not trying to promote the violence and stuff like that in people's music, because at one time I was one of the DMV DC artists that promoted, you know, regardless of me saying I'm just talking about what's going on in my environment, I learned the responsibility that I had because I have an influence if I got a lot of people watching up to me. But I do understand a lot of the street artists because I come from that. That's why I say I try to build a bridge because I come from it. Because I remember during a time where they wasn't playing no gangster stuff like that on the radio. And you wanted that true hood stuff, you had to go buy the CD. Oh, yeah. You got to go hit the hood, buy the CD. Because I remember when I was younger, we used to talk about, man, it's hard for us to blow up. This when I'm a teenager, I'm like, because they don't play this gangster stuff on the radio. We need to let them hear where we come from. Now today is actually one of the most popular things. Like, even NWA back in the day still was getting banned. They wasn't really trying to spin them on the radio and all that stuff like that. But today, gangster rap, trap rap is on the radio. Is mainstream. But I believe that if we really learn to come together for real, man, it can be, I really believe that we can learn to come together and be more positive influences on our culture, that we can grow in ways in business, in health, and just unity in so many ways that we never imagined, man. I agree. Because we can't keep complaining about oppressors when we the ones what Tupac saying, only God can judge me. They said it's the white man I should fear, but it's my kind doing all the killing here. When I come out my house every day, I'm not scared of no white man. I'm not worrying about a white man putting a gun to my head or running down on me or robbing me or, you know, killing my peoples or somebody I know. I'm not scared of no white man. It be mine, those that's my own color. That and I true. Say that in my song "Why the Good Die Young." Every time I look up, when I go to funerals, and I didn't preach funerals. When I go to funerals, it's dudes that are my skin color, that are constantly filling these hearses up every day. And you know who they being killed by? And this don't take away from police brutality or, you know, they don't take away from that. But what I'm doing is saying this is a problem too. This is a big problem. This is a big problem. How do we expect to stand in unity when we breaking our own legs?
And that's something that
this is a major problem. And even in the music, we can't keep promoting this stuff. I hate when I see artists that say stop the gun violence, but then when you listen to their music, you like, dude, you in the music video, you got AR-15 talking guns about everywhere. Endless dead artists. You got 100 other dudes in there, you're talking about dropping bodies and this and dead people, but then you talking about stopping gun violence. It's not making sense.
That is not.
Like, if we gonna say that, we gotta live that. We gotta walk that.
And
but we gonna continue to see a society that's gonna plummet into who knows what the next generation gonna be like if we keep going in the direction we going in as a community. Right. And that's the sad thing, and that's a scary thing. It is. Because even as, like I said, the older people are getting younger. Mothers and fathers and grandmothers, they're getting younger. And they're being void without wisdom. Their principles and morals and integrity is not where it need to be. So who knows that these babies that's being raised by these other babies who ain't got the right wisdom and the right morals and principles and integrity, who knows what our next generation gonna be like? Who knows? But that's a scary thing. I remember old head told me before that the pilots on the plane should always try to be an example to always try to treat the passengers as students by flying the plane right because those who are passengers will eventually be the pilots. And I remember when he first said it, I was like, damn, that was deep. You know what I'm saying? That was deep. But to really think about it, that's true.
It is.
The generation right now that is in charge, we should be the best examples that we can be, because the younger generations are eventually going to be the pilots of the plane that we're going to be driving.
That is true. Now, you know
what I'm saying?
A couple things, you know, and you made reference earlier to the point that, you know, like, you know, you look at these funerals you go to, and most of the times, you know, it's somebody that look like you, whose life was taken at the hands of somebody that looks like you as well. You know, that's, you know, it's a problem, you know, and like people, you know, I understand we're not trying to diminish anything like police brutality or anything here, but it's like, why is it hard for people to accept that, you know, us killing one another is just as big as a problem as it is for a cop killing an unarmed black man or black woman? I don't understand why there's so much of a division between that topic and this one. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, it's like it's one and the same. You know what I'm saying? Like, and what I mean by it's one and the same is like, at the end of the day, somebody's still losing their life and somebody else's life is getting ruined. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, I don't understand why is it like people get so up in arms about that situation, but when it comes to like every day this is going on in our communities, why people don't feel the same way?
Right.
You know?
Right. I'm in total agreement with you, bro. Like, these are conversations that be had with me and my peers and different organizations, like on a regular. Like, I just did an interview. Shout out to Miss Carolyn White Washington and the Sisters for Sisters organization. I just did an interview with a few good brothers down here in the DMV about mental health issues and suicide awareness. And, you know, we talked about some of these same topics. And the thing is this, like I say, I'm a man of faith. You know, I believe in Jesus Christ. You could call me religious or whatever you want to call me, but I got a relationship with God. And I know one thing his word says, and that proves true. Whether if you believe in God or don't, his word proves true for me and you. A house divided against itself cannot stand.
Right.
If me and you brothers, and we constantly trying to take each other out, how do we expect to go outside our house and stand strong against other people that's coming against us when we constantly trying to take each other out?
Absolutely.
When I'm constantly trying to bomb on you and you trying to bomb on me, how are we supposed to stand together against the other challenges that's coming against us as a whole?
And that's the point I try to make.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know, and that's the point I've been trying to make. Go ahead.
Yeah, man, I'm just saying, like, you can't kill your soldiers and expect for your army to be strong. You can't kill your own soldiers and expect for your army to be strong. So when we look at it, it always starts in our house. It starts in our community. It starts with us. We got to be strong. We got to be together. Even our ancestors. That's why change happened today the way it did, because they stood strong together. And it was at times when they, like, I remember they was teaching us about how when black folks were doing slave trades with the white man, and how there was a deception that was had, because they said that the white Europeans during that time had came to come back against them even after they did the slave trade. So no difference than me saying, all right, let me sell you this, and then come back and rob you for it. But now you don't even have, you sell me your gun, then now I come back and rob you with your own gun. But now you weak because you done sold your power. But our power was our togetherness. Our power was our unity. It wasn't even the treasures that we had, it was the people. And that's even today, where money has become more important than people. Money has become more important than people. Profit has become more important than human life. And we wondering why we in a bad shape.
Speak on it.
So when people will chase dollars or chase a bag, you will bust your best friend head just to get that bag. Yeah. That's temporary anyway.
Right.
And not understand how valuable that life was. You dig?
That is true. And that's something I could never understand. I'm like, I tell people that all the time. You know, especially those people out there that feel like, you know, they don't have anything else other to turn to but the streets. And I understand in some circumstances that may be true. So I'm not going to sit there and turn my nose up at people that has to go that route or feels as though they have to go that route because they feel like that's the only way they can provide for themselves and for their families. But I also tell people at the same time that that's kind of like football when you really think about it, because we are tricked into that mindset of thinking that that's the only way we have, instead of getting out there and working hard and doing the right things that could get us in a situation where we don't have to rely on the streets. You know, I tell people all the time, I'm like, yo, there's more opportunities out there. You just got to leave your block. You know, you just got to get away from your environment that has you thinking that it's about kill or be killed or survival. You can get away from that situation if you can and go out there and find something different that's going to lead you down a better path where you're not looking over your shoulder every day, where you're not worried about whether or not you're going to go to jail or to the grave. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, people just got to open their mind a little bit more and not be trapped on this whole thing that, you know, there's only one way to go about being successful or go about being able to eat at night. That's just the way I see things, you know?
That's true, bro. That's true. I thank God for saving me. I thank the Lord for saving me and using me the way he do now. That's why I know that I have to be responsible as me being not only an artist but a minister, and when I speak out on different platforms, and I can't be judgmental.
Right.
I can't be. It's not my heart to be, because I understand like everything that you just described, like far as those who feel like the block is everything. They don't want to leave the block. That was me. So I understand wholeheartedly. That's why I say I can never be judgmental. And I feel like when I think about things like that, like I know what it's like to be low. I know what it's like to think, man, the block is everything. The neighborhood is everything. And it ain't just about the neighborhood, the street in itself. I know I hear people that say, you don't own nothing, why you claim a street? The thing is, it's about the people. It's about the family orientation that you have. It's about belonging to a family. You know, when some people don't have families, some people do. But us as young people, we love to be a part of something.
True.
So when you grow up with these people in your neighborhood and you experience all these different things, you learn how to ride your first bike. You learn how, you learning all these different things, it develops a bond. It develops a camaraderie with these people in your neighborhood. And then it become hard to leave because you believe that these are my people. These people will die for me. I will die for them. You know what I mean? So you willing to stand on that. And if you don't realize sometimes when you're young or how your environment, especially our environments in the city, are so corrupt with deception that you're being loyal to something that you want to be a part of that's not loyal to you. Exactly. And I understood like that. I didn't grow up a huge Tupac fan because in DC, go-go was our thing. Right. You see what I'm saying? Go-go was the popular music genre here. So I wasn't a major rap head until I started getting older. When I started getting a little older, I was more like when I started getting into rap, I was more into like Snoop, MC8, different, New York artists. But I wasn't never big on Tupac. But once I got older and I started kind of seeing interviews and hearing him say certain things, I realized, like, of course I heard all this music on the radio, but I started realizing, like, me and him had a lot of different similarities. And people would tell me that. But it wasn't based on how I sound or nothing. They'll just be like, your behavior, your personality. Like, you remind me of this dude. So I started paying attention to him. And I remember when he was talking about, when they was talking about him, how he felt like Tupac had this F the world mindset, you know what I mean? And Tupac ain't give about nothing and nobody could make. But when I started hearing people talk about him, how Tupac was very loyal. Tupac was very loyal. If he was a friend to you, he was willing to be a friend to the end. I realized, like, dang, that's like me. I realized when he had lies and rumors on his name, when he got locked up for rape, everybody turned their back on him, and how he came home and he felt like, sometimes you don't know who with you, who not. So it's F everybody, because that can turn your heart bitter. I went through that, trying to be so loyal to the neighborhood, trying to be so loyal to people who wasn't loyal to me. You know what I'm saying? That's just like keep getting robbed by somebody, but then going back around and keep chilling with them. Right. And it's like, true. You got to learn, like, you know what I'm saying? Because I grew up watching that. That was my everyday. Watching dudes rob certain dudes and then they come back and chill with them. And it's like, dang, will I ever be such a fool to be loyal to my own stupidity? and not see like what you being loyal to ain't being loyal to you. And that's how it was for me. Like growing up in the neighborhood, I felt like I was being loyal to a gang. I felt like I was being loyal to a devilish gang. That I kept ending up on the wrong end of the, the wrong side of the gun. Like this ain't. Why am I keep trying to be loyal to something instead of the people who I should be loyal to? A lot of times that happens where you got your family or, you got friends that's like, man, come on, we could do better. Or like I was a sports dude. So I had certain friends like, come on, bro, stay in the sports. But I wanted to be loyal to something that wasn't loyal to me. You know what I'm saying? And eventually on the back end, it caused me to be more corrupt than I should have been. But then I look at that and I look at these youngins today, it's like everybody needs somebody to help them. But at the same time, you have to receive the help.
That is true.
A person could say you in that neighborhood and you feel like it ain't no way out. It's imperative that we who are not in it try to be as best of a help we could, but you can't help somebody who don't want to help themselves.
That's true. Like
and that's
saying,
the thing. You ain't gonna be able to save everybody, but at least try to do what you can where you are.
True. You
see a little youngin' and you see him going the wrong way, drop him some advice. You can't force him off the street because he might got a big 40 Glock with a 30 on the back to try to force him to do nothing.
Right.
But give him some wisdom, give him something, sow a seed. Because you never know how much that little seed may grow. You see what I'm saying?
That is true. As the saying goes, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force the horse to drink,
Yeah. Go for real, bro.
That's real talk.
For real.
But
I couldn't be forced to do.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying I couldn't be forced to do nothing, but seeds were sown. And I'm gonna be honest with you, whether you got two parents in your household, whether you don't have your father or don't have a mother, I think the best thing that I can leave with people is teach your children how to develop a relationship with God for themselves by personal experience. Teach them how to have their own personal experience with God. Teach them how to pray. Teach them how to talk. Teach them how to depend on God. Because the parents and family not going to always be around. We live, we die. But God will always be here to be able to guide them even when you're gone. That was my situation, that no matter what I went through in the streets, I had my father. Like my mother lived on the other side of town, but I stayed with my father. So I was mainly brought up in a single parent household with my father. So, but on that, even that I had a father, he was not a street dude. He wasn't in the streets at all. He grew up, he was homeless at a time, but he wasn't in the streets. I ended up going into the streets, and that wasn't even who he was. But at the same time, I had a father who was always trying to fight for me and everything. But even that couldn't save me. But it still mattered. What saved me was God saved me. Christ saved me. That's the only thing I can say personally from personal experience. Christ saved me, but it mattered that I had somebody that was willing to fight for me. It mattered. It mattered. You know what I'm saying? It mattered. So even if you feel like, because I know many a times my father was like, man, I give up because it don't seem like it's working. You could be talking to a child or talking to somebody and they still going, because everything is a process. You know what I'm saying? Everything is a process. The house you living in wasn't built in one day. It was a process. You know what I'm saying? The job that you may have right now, the family you may have right now, it's a process. So even if you see somebody going wayward, even if they're an adult and they're struggling with an addiction, it's a process, but at least do what you can. Like, I hate people when they walk past homeless people. I don't feel like you got to give them your money all the time, but man, you should get up and get a job. You sitting out here begging, you don't know what they went through. You don't know what they're struggling with.
True.
Be a blessing. And don't always try to be a blessing for something in return, because that's not a blessing. A blessing is being able to give somebody something that they did not earn and that they can't earn, and you ain't got to always look for it back. But God will reward you when he see that you are giving from a place of generosity, because you never know when you may need somebody to give back or pour back into you.
That is true.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody need help. These youngins need help. Adults need help. The reason for the state of our youngins today is really, if we really want to be technical with it, our adults play a huge part in that.
I agree.
So if we want to have a conversation to the youngins, we got to have a conversation to the ones who supposed to be examples, they're supposed to be teaching them. Because I guarantee you, if we sit down with a lot of these teachers, they know, a lot of these teachers in these schools and public schools know for a surety, man, it ain't just these youngins that got the problem. This is stemming from their households. It's stemming from what's missing. It's stemming from what they seeing and what they hearing and who's allowing it. That may not be everybody's situation, but it is in the majority. Our adults need to have a conversation. It need to be a conversation had too. We need to get it together as adults.
You know,
we got to get it together.
I truly do agree with that. And I'm going to say why. Because when it boils down to it, you know, especially in the times that we're living in right now, you know, whereas before, if we was in the neighborhood and our parents wasn't around, but somebody else that was from the neighborhood seen us doing something we wasn't supposed to do, they're going to tell our parents, and we're going to not only get checked by them, but we're also going to get checked by the parents when we go home later on that night. And they're going to tell them why they checked you for what you was doing at that time. You know what I'm saying? But nowadays, you got so many people that are afraid to interfere with other people's children because of the fact that, you know, you got some people out there that don't like the fact that somebody else is disciplining their child. When I mean by discipline, it's not, you know, paddles, belts, you know, whatever the case may be. It's not nothing like chastisement. It's more so just telling them like, yo, what you're doing is wrong. Chill, man, before that get you in trouble. Some people get that misconstrued and they take it for, you know, you being disrespectful to, you know, their children or whatever the case may be. And then now you got a conflict between the parents, which when it really wasn't that at the beginning, or should have never been taken in that direction to begin with. So, you know, you got a lot of people out there that are really reluctant to, you know, step in and try to help other people's children because of that. But, you know, also, you just got people out there that just gives up on humanity whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? Like when it comes down to it, you got people that's just not willing to, you know, put themselves out there to try to inflict change, but then be the ones that complain about everything.
Right.
You know,
I totally agree with that. And I understand to an extent. I understand too, because today's times we living in is very wicked. Like I said, man, it's very devilish today, and I understand why people mind their business. Don't get me wrong. I understand why people be like, man, I'm trying to make it home to me and my kids. I don't got time. I ain't trying. I understand, because it's a different climate today. But that's also why I said that the parents, we need a conversation with the parents too. If we gonna have this conversation with the children, we got to talk to the parents too. Because just like you said, can't nobody even tell your child out here acting up, stealing, doing this, that, and the third. Can't nobody say nothing to him. But if he gets shot or get killed, now you sitting out here looking crazy and wondering why ain't nobody do nothing, when you might have had a community of people trying to stop him.
Exactly.
Or might see your daughter out here moving a little funny, and you might got some women like, listen, little girl, you need to slow down. But don't nobody not say nothing to my daughter, and nobody said. But then when she out here, she pregnant at 14, or she didn't caught some, or some got taken advantage of because she was out here being in places that she shouldn't have been. Then it's you know what I'm saying? So it's like we need to have a conversation all around it. We need to have a conversation as a whole.
Absolutely.
Parents and children.
And it was this video that I saw just a couple of days ago, as a matter of fact. It was this lady in, I think it was either Cleveland or Columbus, Ohio. She was on her way home from work, and she seen some young man that she knew who the father was or whatever the case. She seen the young man. He had to be about maybe 11 or 12 years old. She rolled past and he flashed gang signs at her. So instead of reacting,
I seen that. Go ahead.
Yeah, you seen that, right? So like instead of like, you know, doing something to him, she went and told the kid's father and explained why. Like, you don't know who you throwing these gang signs up at. You know, some people are not going to come and talk to you to set you straight. Some people are just going to up that pistol, and that's going to be it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and do something to your child. Yeah, that's true.
So I got to commend.
And that stems from.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, bro.
No, I was going to say, like, so I got to commend her for, you know, that willingness to step in despite, you know, the current climate of today's world, where people not being able to really, like, you know, give a positive message to other people's kids because of the fact that they take it as some kind of disrespect. And I also got to commend the father that was willing to stand there and listen to both sides of the story without passing judgment. You know what I mean?
That's real. That's real. That made the difference right there, that he was willing to listen. And that's how our problem sometimes in society, we're not willing to listen or examine us. We're not willing to listen or accept where we may be wrong or where we may have a problem. Can't nobody tell you nothing. Our society is so prideful. It's so caught up on self. It's so caught up on focusing on what other people doing, but when it come back on you, you don't want to listen and you want to take accountability for it. So for him to take accountability, like, I love how he was responding. Like, you right. You absolutely right. You ain't telling them nothing wrong. Because that's how it used to be when I was growing up. Just how you said. Like, my peoples was at work all day, so I was being in the environment, in the neighborhood all day long. So it was a lot of my neighbors and stuff like that who was watching me. So it might be a neighbor across the street come and say, you know, I seen him doing this. Now I'm jumped on by this neighbor, and they're like, you know, we're going to tell your father when they come home.
Right.
I'm like, God dang. But we needed that.
Yeah.
We needed that. And she could have easily, like she said, I know some people's over there, and if I told them to get you, they would have got you. She could have easily went along with that, but she chose to come as an adult. So like you said, commending her and the father, but hopefully that after the father heard that message, that he be more on top of his son. Because it's not always that they get the wrong upbringing in the household.
Sometimes it's the parents ain't around.
That you can't, that you're not around. So you don't know who their friends, you don't know who they being influenced by when they going outside. And you could be raising them right in the house, telling them the right things to do, but when they go outside, they got their own mind.
That is true.
They got other influences. Today they got social media.
That is true.
So it's like to whom much is given, much is required. We given much more challenges in this season and in this society today. So there needs to be much more discipline. It needs to be much more responsibility checking your kids' phones. Right. Being in your kids' ear. I don't care if you preach to them for 4 or 5 hours. Preach to them. I don't care if you feel like they not listening. Keep on talking.
Exactly.
Take them to church. You know what I'm saying? Do all you can do, because you're battling against the world trying to destroy your child.
Absolutely. And this is where
you got to fight. You got to fight.
Absolutely. And this is where parents need to get back to parenting and try, instead of trying to be their kids' friends. That's what a lot of we got going on right now. And and to some degree I understand, because ACS, Child Protective Services and stuff like that can be crazy when you have that, breathing down your neck. I know, because I know some friends and peoples that I grew up with that, had similar situations happen to them with their parents. So I understand, so a lot of them, especially now with, so much, government influence, they don't want to see you chastising their kid. They rather see the state raising their kid, you know what I'm saying? But when it boils down to it, some parents really need to start being more parents to their children, because like you said, you never know what this person is doing when they're not home, or whatever the case may be, or who this person's friends with, or who your child is out there running the streets with. You never know. And it can lead to a situation that not only endangers your children, but it can also endanger you and your household. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I want to say this too, because we got to be real all the way around the board, because we dealing with real life here. Absolutely. Everybody's situation ain't the same. And you can be the best parent that you can try to be, and your child still turn out to be very disrespectful, very wayward. You could be the best. You could give them exactly what they need. You could teach them what they need to know, and they can still turn out to be Dennis the Menace, or even crazy, or even wilder. So I want to input this again, that when things are out of your order, that's the importance of having a relationship with God, so God can get things back in order. Because when that's life. The thing is, God created us to depend on Him. So certain things, even you could try to be the best parent, you could be the best this, you could be best husband, best wife, you could be. Sometimes things are out of your control in order for it to get inside of God's control. And if you don't know how to let it get inside of God's control, it may take you further than where you want to go, or down a destructive path that will end up causing you permanent damage.
Absolutely.
So I leave this again, that like I say, you may be the best parent, you may be the Huxtables, but that don't mean that Theo don't go out here, smoke crack, shoot a jack. I don't know.
Yeah.
But a relationship with God, I guarantee you,
Now,
I guarantee you, it may not work out the way you want it to, but I guarantee you that it'll work out the way that God has it planned, or his purpose will always prevail over what may happen.
Sure.
I guarantee that.
Now, let me ask you a question.
Because it's not going to always, you're not going to always be, the result, what you put in, you're not always going to get out. That's real. That is
true. That is
You're not
true.
always going to get the results that you expect to get. That's life.
That is true.
And you just gotta learn how to roll with the punches.
Now,
you feel like, man, I done did this, I done did that, I did that, and you might not get the results of everything you did.
That is true.
Everything don't happen systematically in life. Some things are unpredictable.
Now,
man, I was the best father I could be. How this joker turned out to be a serial killer? Life happened. I was the best mom. I was the best dad. My daughter now, oh man, life happens.
That is true.
But God. That's all I can say, but God.
Now,
let God in. I'm telling you, you're gonna need him. In the times we living in now, and if you don't believe, you could be atheist, you could be a philosopher, you could be whoever, KRS-One, you could be smart as all outdoors. You better get God in your life.
That is true.
You better get God in your life. You could have all the scientific facts. You could be Dick Gregory. You better get the Lord in your life. I'm telling you, you're gonna need him.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't, you're gonna see why. You're gonna see why. I promise. You're gonna see why.
Now let me ask you.
So that's the most important thing I would want to leave with children and adults.
Mm-hmm.
Get God in your life. You're gonna need him. You were created to need him. So when you try to do life without him, you're gonna get the results of life without him.
Mm-hmm.
I promise you. I promise you. Like Deion Sanders just said, he told his testimony. Deion said, man, I had all the cars, I had all the women, I had all the fame, I had all the jewelry, I had all the money. He said, I still was empty. Something still was missing. I couldn't even, he was like, I wasn't fulfilled. Life was not fulfilling. I had all these things that everybody out here chasing, trying to die for, trying to get richer and die trying for. And he said, I still was empty. It wasn't it. He said, until I got the Lord in my life, until I got Jesus Christ in my life, till I got God in my life, that's when I realized what mattered. What was more valuable? It wasn't the things. It was God. And if you get God, God will give you the things, but you won't have as much turmoil with it than you will have with the things and without him. Mm-hmm. So I had to drop that. I had to drop that off real quick, Ryan.
Nah, you good. Letting you cook, man. You good. Nah, but the one question I was gonna ask you, because I know you're familiar with this scripture, and I'm familiar with it as well, because this was something that used to get said to us growing up. I believe it, but with that being said, because we just discussed the fact that you can raise a child up to be good and they can still make their own path. So with that saying, with the scripture, train up a child in the way they may go, that when they're old they don't depart from it. Do you feel as though that still applies in today's society?
Yes, I do. I feel like it applies so much. I feel like it applies as effectively as how much you apply it.
So you're saying as the individual, the child itself?
Yeah, because we got this thing in society where we so traditional and so cliche. So we take on a lot of traditions, but sometimes traditionals are still not accurate. And sometimes our traditionals or our traditions or cliches are not actual truth. Or isn't actually the right way to go about it for every situation. Mm-hmm. So sometimes we develop traditions that's not right for every situation. Like you could say, man, once a child 18, you gotta let them go be by themselves. That's not true.
That's not true.
Man, a child when they just hit it, man, when you just hitting 18, you really just learning.
That's when life really begins for you, honestly.
Learning. You know what I'm saying? And you never stop being a parent. Mm-hmm. You never stop being a parent, man. Some people still need their mothers at 50. If they got them still. Need their fathers at 50. You got some adults still, man, they still mama's boys. And it ain't nothing wrong with it if you still, if you still a man. Mm-hmm. It's only wrong if you walking around here like a little boy and you supposed to be a man. But needing your mama at 50 years old, ain't nothing wrong with that. needing your dad or wanting to, it's nothing wrong with that, because you never stop being a parent. God never stops being God, no matter how old we are. Mm-hmm. Still take care of us, still comfort us, still swaddle us, still nurture us, still hug on us. You know what I'm saying? So a person never stole. The thing is, what are you training the child? Mm-hmm. And how consistent, the longevity of how consistent you are with applying what they need. Because you get to a certain point and then stop because you feel like, all right, you should get. Nah, it don't stop. Mm. If I'm 70 and I'm still living and my father still can speak to me and give me advice. Don't stop because you feel like I'm supposed to know. Because guess what? They say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. You can teach an old dog new tricks if that dog willing to listen. You hear me?
That is true.
You never stop learning. You never stop listening. You never get to a point in this life where you know everything. So we always need mentors. We always need guidance. God's guidance should be the top priority, but we also still need the guidance of our parents. We need the guidance of family members, of peers, or let me just say wise counsel. But God's counsel should be the top priority. But if you still got a parent or uncle or auntie, because everybody don't got the father or mothers, their fathers or their mothers might be granddad or grandma or auntie or big bro or big sis. Mm-hmm. But if they still living, no matter how old you are, and you can get, and they still giving wise counsel, please sit and listen. Please sit and listen. We need that. We got to a place in society where we feel like we don't need nobody. We got to a place so prideful where we feel like we can do it all by ourselves. No, you can't. And you'll realize that in your own personal life. You might can make it look good in front of everybody else, but when you get to yourself in your own personal life, that's why you feeling empty. That's why you got your big house or your nice condo and your car and your nice bank account, and you depressed. You feeling empty. You don't know which way to go.
Word. And that's true, man.
We need each other, bro.
You're right about that one, man. Yo, this has definitely been a really good conversation, man. Like, I don't know what you think. What you think? The last one or this one?
Bro, I think we get better every time, bro. I think that I think it elevates every time. You know, God is in the midst of it. You got two good brothers. We both got our minds in the right places. We both our hearts in the right places. No matter what we may struggle with outside of our platforms or whatever, because life happens. But I believe when you got two brothers and God is in the midst, or whether it would be two sisters or two people, whatever, and our minds are focused on the right direction, doing what's right, saying what's right, being responsible about what we're talking about, trying to be a light. We both are trying to be a light, so we shining together. And we keep shining. With every interview, we just keep shining. We keep enlightening. We keep dropping more things that I hope people hear, and I hope it's impactful for whoever hears it. You know what I'm saying? I believe you can't lose. You can't lose when you're trying to win together. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? We out here trying to win together, and we trying to win by being a blessing to others.
That is real talk, man.
So it get better.
Amen.
Yeah, real business, bro.
Hey, man, listen, yo. Definitely got to, give you a hand for that one, because this was definitely a really great conversation here tonight. And I hope that, for everybody that sits out there and listens to the whole hour and a half of this conversation, because there's going to be so many different things throughout this conversation that you can take with you. You know what I'm saying? Take with you in your everyday life. It doesn't matter whether or not you're in the music industry, whether you out in your community, you're trying to make a difference, or even if it's just for yourself and you're just trying to find the right path to go as a human being. I hope that people can come to the table, listen to this, and walk away feeling like they've been fed, and they're full with good intentions. You know what I mean?
Most definitely. I come into agreement with that. Real business.
No talk, man. No doubt about that one. So with that being said, man, before we get ready to wrap everything up here tonight, what are some final words you would like to say to the people out there, man, and for the people that would like to get in contact with you and have you come over to their platform and spread that good word, man? How can they do that?
Man, you can reach me on Instagram at The Real Tone Butta, ToneButta. I got that butter from my man from New York too. So shout out to him. Shout out to the whole New York. Yeah, real business. When I was in Pennsylvania in Job Corps, we used to call him Bar Fight Joe. He from New York. He always brawling. He said, man, they should call you Tone Butter, man. And, I just tell people, they say, man, where that butter come from? Cause you smooth. I said, nah, baby, I'm just flavored with favor. You hear me?
No doubt.
But you can catch me on Twitter, Tone Butter, ToneButta. I'm on Facebook often. Antonio Joseph Smith in parentheses, Tone Butter. You can just Google Tone Butter. You see anything that say Real Business, BUZINESS. That's the record label. That's the ministry. That's the clothing brand. Hit me up, man. Hit me up on Instagram, Facebook. Look, I'm always showing love. I'm willing to chop it up with good people, real people. You know what I'm saying? Especially God's people. So yeah, man, reach out to me. Holler at me, man. Check out my music on all streaming platforms. Tone Butter, messages, music with messages. You hear me? Gold, real business.
We definitely on the Nonstop Radio Show got to make sure that we spend some of your joints, man, because we had the one joint, Black Panther, that we were spinning regularly on the Top 10 of the Week show, and people was really digging that one, man. And we didn't get this talk too much in depth to it yet, but also the projects that you got with your wife and everything. The 3 joints that you sent me, them joints is fire. I was listening to that too. So I gotta ask you, man, when's the next time you coming back so we can chop it up again and talk more, about your music and what else you got going on, man? I know normally we get on here and we start talking about the reals and the ills that's going on in life and everything. But I want to make sure that, we also take the time out to shine some light on what you do outside of your ministry, outside of that, what you do with your music and what you got going on as far as real business is concerned,
Bro, whenever you want me back, just give me the date. I'm there. We family. We can chop it up whenever. If you tell me come back tomorrow, I'm there. You hear me?
No doubt, man. We're going to have to definitely make sure we do this real soon, so while we got the momentum going off of this particular interview, we got to definitely make sure we get you back in here sooner so that way we can make sure we can talk about those projects and whatnot, man.
Most definitely. Let's do it, man. Shout out to the Emilio Egg Bar Show. Shout out to my man E in the whole New York. Real business. Much love from the DMV, from Washington, D.C. Shout out to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Without him, it wouldn't even be life. You hear me? Shout out to my wife, Hannah G. Shout out to my fam, my real business family. Shout out to, shout out to the whole DMV for real, man. Shout out to all the dreamers and all the independent artists and entrepreneurs out there turning their dreams into reality. Real business. You hear me?
No doubt, man. And shout out to you and much love to everybody in the DC area, DMV area. Shout out to your wife, Hannah G. Shout out to everybody out there rocking with Real Business Ministries and all that good stuff. And for everybody else that's rocking with the Nonstop Radio Show, the Emilio Wegbar Show, Nonstop Media Group, and EJP Entertainment, this is your boy Emilio Wegbar, and I want y'all all to keep it locked right here because we're going to be back with much more right after this.
Nonstop.
Want to be heard on the Nonstop Radio Show? Send us your submissions in MP3 format at Let's Network Musically 212@gmail.com.
This is Nonstop Radio.